leaving the fog of COVID parenting, COVID working, aka keeping the ship afloat. There was a lot of responding to others' needs. And now it's like, oh, it's just me. What am I going to do? It was $300,000 for a 2-year grant and not knowing what I was doing at all. Everything was just crickets and fell through. The imposter syndrome started rearing its head. And one contract is going to almost, crazy saying this, almost double or triple what I was making.
Erin is proof that consistent forward momentum truly does lead to lasting change. Erin has spent years in the education and early childhood space, even writing a grant that resulted in $300,000 for her organization. And in fact, it was that grant that gave her a taste of what grant writing could be like. When she found the collective, she realized that not only could she learn the skill of grant writing, but she could build a business and change the trajectory of her career. Now, 2 years later, Erin has transitioned fully into freelance grant writing and is building a business that is so aligned with her values. Meet Erin.
I'm excited.
Thinking back to your life pre-collective, why did you seek a grant writing program and training?
I can't remember exactly the year, but it was leaving the fog of COVID parenting, COVID working, aka keeping the ship afloat. There was a lot of responding to others' needs, like my daughter. She was a toddler. I was caring for my newborn nephew. My other job, it just was not going to work to stay there. Like a lot of people, what can I see myself doing as my kiddo's about to head off to preschool or kindergarten? And then, my nephew's going off to school. And now it's like, oh, it's just me. What am I going to do?
You had written a grant in a previous life,
Yeah.
and that kind of gave you a taste for grant writing. So is that what kind of piqued your interest of like, ooh, could I combine kind of my loves for education with my love for this new skill?
Yeah, that's really, I think, what sparked my interest because in my career before, I was working in education in early childhood specifically. Every state is different in how it's funded, and it's not funded the same way as K through 12. It's getting private funding or some federal funding and mixtures of state funding. While I was doing work over here, it was also like, well, if we want to keep this program going, then we need some grants. I was just kind of tossed into it, and my supervisor was like, there's this grant open, let's go for it, and not knowing what I was doing at all. But
But
we
you
ended
won
up,
that grant. And it
yeah,
was like
it
a
was crazy.
significant amount of money, right?
Yeah, I think it was $300,000 for a 2-year grant to start a social emotional program and curriculum in our early childhood program that I think we had at the time, like almost 2,000 kids. It was amazing. And it was definitely a
So
team effort. People hear like, oh, you like writing or you write? And then it's like, here you go. You do it.
I just love that you get to like casually walk in and be like, yeah, the first grant I wrote without knowing anything. Yeah, we got funded for 300K. Like,
Yeah,
boom.
not a typical first grant story, and always so grateful for that because it kind of lit the interest and spark in me because it felt so good to be able to do that and for it to turn into something that's still going today, 10 or 12 years later.
Amazing. When you joined, you were like, I want to do this freelance from the beginning. I want this flexibility and freedom. I like this writing. I want to figure out what this could look like. Or were you hoping to land a job?
I was saying that I was like just going to see where it goes. Out loud, I was saying maybe to others, like, I want to learn a little more. But deep down, I knew I think I wanted to do this as a career.
When we have that feeling inside and we want it, it feels really good somewhere inside of us. Then something happens that takes us out of that and puts us into a valley of despair. Can you talk about specifically one of your challenges early on with disappointment around ghosting?
I had a potential client before I joined the week before, and they were like, so you're a grant writer, you're going to do this. We need your help. And I was like, whoa, okay, let's go. Let's do it, I guess. And I had all these goals I wrote down, and I'm going to hit that 15K, and I'm going to get the freelance fundraising strategy. That would be my testing ground for learning everything. And then we got to the contract kind of phase. Everything was just crickets and fell through. And this was an acquaintance slash
Oh
friend and
no.
an organization I knew and is very trusted in my community and stuff. The imposter syndrome started rearing its head, and I was starting to wonder, maybe it's because I don't have 5 years of freelance experience or whatever it is. All the thoughts is I wasn't hearing back from them.
Often it can be really hard, especially when that's happening, to then come back into the collective and be like, oh, but this person did land a job or this person is getting the momentums. How did you quiet that voice and tell it to move away.
In the past, I would have stuffed it down or like brushed it aside, but pretty early on in the collective, some of the suggested reading was Bending Reality. I'm starting to read it, and there's a reason why this keeps coming up. I need to kind of say hello to it and deal with it, welcome the thoughts and feelings and emotions, not be afraid of it, but really start to question, why is that coming up for me? Start to untether my identity from my work. It's hard because we can bring that in too. Fast forwarding about a month later, I heard from them and it was nothing about me at all. They wanted to work with me, but it was a lot of things they were going through transition, a lot of funding stuff happening, and it was like just not right now, but eventually maybe.
It's this false sense of control, because if it's our fault, then it was something within our control. And what we don't like to feel is out of control. And the reality is 99% of the time when we're ghosted, it has literally nothing to do with us. And that's hard for our psyches to know, because it means that we're out of control. And so the further we can detach from whatever that is saying and make it not mean something about us, we have more joy.
Yeah, and it's so much of that mindset work from the exercises in Bending Reality, calling it out loud in
Yeah.
the collective. Everybody has gone through it in some way. A lot of good came from it, because then I met my accountability buddy. She's not in the collective right now, but we still talk like almost every day. It's like perspective also when you look back on something and doing
Yeah.
that kind of mental mindset work that now I can take into the next opportunity.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's only in hindsight that we can kind of see the doors that opened because of the door that closed. It's hard when the door is being closed in our face to remember that, like, no, somewhere around here, there's a window that's open, you know?
Yeah, there's going to be a door number 3 for
Exactly.
sure.
What you are most proud of in this journey.
For me comes down to having consistency, small, consistent steps. Maybe as before, I thought it was going to be this one big thing is going to change everything, or grind of sending out all these messages, doing all these IIs, informational interviews. And then it really was like the small, consistent steps of just not quitting, even when it was hard and contracts would get written and then fall through. And then it was just a lot of this practice over time. Having that consistency really, I think, helped me with like going into conversations just to have relationships and really being curious, which in turn led to meeting somebody and then meeting a different person who connected me to this random person that ended up being like a client. I didn't know where those relationships would take me, but just being consistent with them over time was a big win for me.
It's not sexy to say take consistent steps, but it's the truth. That is the thing that leads to lasting change. There comes a point where you're like, I can't really do this part-time job and the side hustle and take care of my kiddo. What did it look like when you were like, okay, I think I gotta go all in?
I'll be honest. It was really scary and hard, whereas maybe my first experience with that potential client and it didn't work out. So there was some mindset work I had to do around this. And the role that I had, I worked for my school district. I was doing project planning, running a certain program, and working in a field I really cared about with early childhood and early literacy. While I loved it so much, it was kind of like, okay, I think I'm ready to maybe get paid for this a little bit more, and then maybe just focus on 1 or 2 things instead of a million things. Conversation I had with this potential client, they were really looking for more than I could do part-time. One contract is gonna almost, crazy saying this, almost double or triple what I was making in my part-time role.
Oh my
So it
gosh.
was like a no-brainer, but also, came with some grieving of leaving that job and also taking a big leap into not only writing the grants, but also managing them and reporting on them and really offering them a lot that they needed help with.
Now that you've made this leap, can you share a bit about your business? What does it look like for you now?
I am so grateful and excited about where I am now. March is my 2-year anniversary, I think. I have one large retainer client who takes most of my time during the week by design. And then I have a smaller client who we're just kind of getting the ground going with the grant research and a little bit of writing. And it will turn into a statewide expansion and everything. It's a wonderful work because I'm getting to work in education still a little bit, but also in a new space for me, which is performing arts. I would probably classify where I am right now in the messy middle. Build the plane essentially, as
Mm.
Meredith says sometimes,
We're
as
flying it.
I'm flying it, get close to the 75K mark, maybe by this time next year, thinking about things like I might need some help. And I didn't ever think about that before. But there have been people who have helped me. And I love that idea of being able to do that as well and work alongside others in the collective.
It feels like the ladder is really present in our community. The women who are higher up on the ladder continuously reach down and pull up the others that are further down on the ladder. And everyone has done this very naturally, but it's so cool in moments like you just said, where you're like, I can't wait to. You've both reached up and reached down, and that's powerful. So thank you.
We have so many writers and researchers and amazing people in the collective that I read their stories sometimes and I'm like, you do what? Like, I remember one time reading somebody was like writing a NASA grant and I was just like, this is amazing. And there's going to be things and areas that I may not know about and could get some support from that person about. And there may be areas that somebody's wondering about that I could offer some ideas for. It's really cool just having that community.
Sometimes grant writers take on kind of an advocacy lens. We actually bring in what we want to see a change in the nonprofit world into our work. What I find liberating about being a consultant is that you can do that more intentionally than you can sometimes as an in-house person. I know that you are increasingly focused on how grant writers can actually have a role in challenging the systems of power and kind of the antiquated ways that trickling down wealth, kind of like, okay, you can have some money, you can have some money, to nonprofits is intriguing to you. Tell me a little bit about why this has become a part of how you operate.
There was an informational interview that I had opened my eyes a lot to question and just think more deeply about the work and working in nonprofits. While she didn't end up becoming a client of mine, she was just so helpful providing kind of that wisdom to me, and really listening to her helped a lot. Over the last couple of years, I've just been thinking more about how can I create practices in my own life and my own business that are anti-racist and challenging the system that does a lot of amazing things in our society and meets a lot of needs that our systems aren't meeting, maybe like our governmental systems, especially things have been challenging this year. And organizations are meeting the needs of this moment. One of my clients has chosen maybe not to pursue certain funds right now in one area. Now we're looking at like, okay, we can diversify our funding, but also really meet with funders who are also aligned in similar values. Some of that has been letting maybe my client know, like, hey, this funder has talked about things like trust-based philanthropy, or have mentioned things like just use application that you've submitted before. So different practices that I see different funders coming out with is really cool to me.
We can make change in the nonprofit industry. It's possible.
Yeah, definitely. And the idea of like being aware that of the systems that we live in, and then finding ways to share stories of the people that my clients serve in a way that's ethical and really speaks to who the clients are in a way that is respectful and ethical of their stories.
I did hear that there's a good story about a laundromat, so I'm curious.
This is, I think, one of my favorite stories to tell. We had a potential funder and they wanted to come to the office. We just had a little thought of like, maybe we should take them to one of our sites. So we had a little early learning area with books and early learning things that we did inside a few laundromats. So we invited
Very
them to the
cool.
laundromat. We had our meeting at the little preschool table and they asked us, how do you know this works? We have a table and books and da 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 da. As soon as she asked that, a family walks in with her little toddler on her hip and they sit down and start reading books. And it's like we could write about that, in a report and say this many families came and this many families took books and used books. But like then she saw it and it was just like, okay, that was pretty cool.
That's what it is. It is meeting people where they're at. So like the program design, that they're like, where are these people already going? Where can we put something that would help them in that same place? Right? Like it feels so revolutionary and it's like so basic. It's so cool.
It was really cool.
Some rapid fire questions. What is your
Okay.
favorite soul care activity?
Soul care and I think celebration are very intertwined for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Reading, being around books, whether I finish them all or not is a different story, and like dancing.
Why do you wake up and do this work every day?
I think my why is like tied to the way of like living and being, and this has helped a lot over the last couple of years, just thinking through more. If I'm being curious and being open, playful, and I
Mm.
could be doing anything, whether it's like grant writing or maybe working for a program again. If I am living that out and inviting others to do the same, then it sometimes doesn't matter what I'm exactly doing with my time.
Including your daughter, who I know was a big motivator in making sure that you followed your dreams. So it's very cool because it means not only we're bringing all these people with us, we're also bringing our littles with us, or our moms, or our all of the people who are impacted in our lives and connected in the myriad of ways that we are connected to humans.
Yeah, she's a big part of my why too.
Thank you so much, Erin. This has been delightful, and I'm so thrilled for the fact that you're at capacity and that you're hitting all those pains because that means you're growing. And I'm so excited to see what another year brings us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alex. This has been really fun.